It was my birthday, and for once I wanted to celebrate in a way that felt intentional, not because of any grand achievement or milestone, but simply because I didn't want it to pass by like just another day in someone else's calendar. So, I reserved a table at Lattice for 8 people. I even dropped hints weeks in advance, sending a message in the family group chat. Latissa, this year, my treat. Let's make it a good one. I reminded Marble twice, once over breakfast, and again, as she was leaving for work 3 days ago. She nodded, distracted, but agreeable, her usual mode lately. I wore the shirt she used to like, white with faint gray pinstripes, and had just gotten a fresh trim that afternoon. I skipped lunch so I'd actually be hungry for the mushroom. Risotto I'd already decided I'd order. I arrived 10 minutes early. The hostess gave me a smile that lingered just a bit too long, perhaps trying to read the dynamic behind my table request for 8 seats. The table was set with linen and wine glasses. "Celebrating something?" she asked. "Birthday?" I said, offering a small smile that felt rehearsed. "Big group?" she asked. I nodded, but before I could correct her, she was already off. I waited, scanning the entrance. Jonas was usually late, but always brought energy when he arrived. Theo typically came early and joked about it. My parents, Russell and Gloria, were punctual to a fault, and if Gloria showed up in pearls, I knew she took it seriously. I wanted her to take it seriously. But then the messages started to arrive. First, the soft letdown from Jonas. "Dude, I swear I was on my way, but a huge client emergency came up. I'll make it up to you this weekend." I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the reply, then locked my phone and set it face down on the table. 5 minutes later, Theo texted, "Sitter bailed last minute. You know how it is. Let's toast. Tomorrow." Do I? I thought. My phone buzzed again. It was my parents. "Sweetheart, we've had a long day. Your father's knee is acting up again. Let's do something next week. Love you." I could hear my mom's voice in the text, always apologizing, but never changing. The empty chairs started to grow louder than the jazz in the background. I sipped water and motioned for the waiter. "A glass of the house red," I said. The place filled up around me. Couples leaned in close. Wine bottles were opened with soft pops. Laughter echoed from the bar. My table, though, remained untouched. 8 chairs set, but only one taken. The final blow came 10 minutes later. I already knew it was coming. I could feel it in my bones, the space Marbell had left between my last 2 texts, the coldness in her hug that morning. "Something came up," her message read. "Let's celebrate another day. Happy birthday." No explanation, not even a call. I read it twice, then a third time just to let the sting settle in properly. I stared at the empty seats, blinking hard. I laughed softly to myself. Quiet, pathetic. I was the man who reserved 8 chairs for ghosts. The waiter returned with my wine. "Would you like to wait a bit longer?" he asked, scanning the empty chairs with just enough sympathy to make it worse. "No," I said. "Let's go ahead." I ordered the risotto, added sea bass to feel like I wasn't settling, and asked him to bring out the bourbon chocolate cake. "Just 1 candle," I said. I poured myself a glass of wine and filled every glass at the table. I raised my glass and gave a quiet, sarcastic toast to the empty seats, to family, to friends, to those who always had something better to do. The wine was bitter and warm, just the kind of red that clung to your teeth and your pride. The food arrived. The risotto was excellent. I barely tasted it. I chewed mechanically, my mind wandering to the entrance with every new person who walked in. Maybe I'd been too quiet lately, too boring. Maybe Marble was right when she said I'd stop surprising her, but was a little recognition too much to ask for? The cake arrived, and with it, a single candle flickering uncertainly, as if unsure whether to hold on or give up. The waiter set it down, gave a nod, and stepped back. I stared at the flame for a long moment. No wishes, just breath. I leaned back, letting the quiet settle into my bones, and accepted it for what it was. Not tragic, not dramatic, just lonely. And then something unexpected happened. A sound sliced through the noise, unlike anything else in the room, a trumpet, raw and real. Not from the speakers, not part of the jazz playlist. This was alive. It cut through the restaurant, too real, too raw for ambiance. I looked up and saw her, a woman about my age, maybe a little younger, standing by the bar in a navy coat, eyes closed as she played like the music wasn't a performance but a confession. The notes wrapped around the room, pulling everyone's attention away from plates and phones, and for a moment, the whole place leaned into her sound. The song wasn't upbeat. It drifted, melancholy and deliberate. I didn't recognize it, but something about it felt familiar, like hearing a story you didn't know you missed. People murmured. A few clapped softly, unsure whether it was okay to interrupt. She didn't acknowledge them. She didn't need to. The trumpet was doing all the talking. Then she paused, holding the microphone close. "This one's for Aaron Leeds. Happy birthday, wherever you are." It felt like someone cracked the world open beneath my chair. My name? Not a generic birthday boy or gentleman at table 7. Aaron Leeds. She said it like she knew me, like she knew what this night had become, like maybe she had seen the empty chairs and heard the laugh I gave only to myself. I looked around in disbelief. No one laughed. No one explained. She finished the song, with a slow, aching note that floated above us, like the smoke from the candle I had just blown out. Then she lowered her trumpet and stepped down from the small riser near the bar. She moved through the room like she didn't owe anyone an explanation. I couldn't look away. She reached my table, glanced at the empty chairs, then at the seat, across from me. "Room for one more?" she asked, nodding toward it like it had always been meant for her. My mouth opened and closed, blinking in disbelief. A second passed, then I nodded slowly, unsure, and motioned for her to sit. She didn't hesitate. She placed her trumpet case gently on the chair next to her and slid into the seat like it had always been hers, like her name had been on the guest list. We didn't need introductions. She sat, the quiet clink of her water glass against the linen tablecloth the only sound. I leaned in slightly, my voice low. "How did you know my name?" She looked at me, her expression unreadable. "Let's just say someone thought you deserved a proper birthday." Her words hit me hard. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel invisible. She had recognized me, had acknowledged me, when no one else had. We spent the rest of the evening in a comfortable silence. She never asked about the empty chairs or the abandoned cake, but somehow, she had read the table like a crime scene, and instead of questioning, she had simply pulled up a chair. She wasn't there to fix me or fill the space with empty words. She sat with me, just sat. And for the first time all evening, I didn't feel like I had to explain myself. This text feels like a raw, emotional unfolding of a betrayal and the subsequent revelation of truths that have been hidden. The narrative is intense, gripping, and filled with layers of introspection. It's a turning point for the main character, Aaron, as he comes face to face with the lies that have shaped his marriage. The dialogue between Aaron and Sarah feels like a moment of catharsis. Sarah, in particular, seems to act as a catalyst for Aaron's awakening, not just in terms of his marriage, but also his personal sense of self-worth. Her role is both supportive and unflinching. She provides the facts, but she doesn't sugarcoat them. The use of the trumpet, a symbol of music, offers an intriguing contrast. While music often brings people together, Sarah uses it as a way to uncover truths that would otherwise stay hidden. The rhythm of people's emotions and the timing of actions are key motifs in the story. How did you feel about the way the story developed? Do you think Sarah's actions were justified, or do you see her as more of an antagonist in the situation? As my resolve grew heavier, I gripped it tighter. I didn't know exactly what the next move would be, not yet, still unsure, but I knew it would be mine. No more trying to prove my worth to people who couldn't see it. No more waiting at empty tables. No more hoping someone would show up for me. "Hey, Sarah," I said over my shoulder. "Yeah, thank you for not just playing. Thank you for seeing." She stepped into the glow of the street lamp, her trumpet case now slung across her shoulder like a guitar. "Next time someone throws you a surprise party," she said, "make sure it's not a trap." I nodded, the weight of her words settling with the wind. I turned and walked into the night, betrayal behind me and my next move ahead, waiting. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even try. I sat on the edge of the bed in our apartment, the same place I used to lay out anniversary cards and stupid homemade breakfasts that never turned out right. Marble hadn't come home. No surprise there. She was probably wrapped around Adam, telling him lies about how unhappy she'd been, how cold I was, how it just happened. I didn't need to imagine it. I'd seen the messages, the photos. It wasn't love. It was the slow erasure of me. I stared at the row of shoes by the door, hers mostly, lined up like little props in a play I was never really cast in. Designer heels, sneakers I bought for her yoga, boots she wore on those nights she said she was meeting clients. I used to think those were about trying. Now I knew better. They were exit tools, each one worn in pursuit of a life that didn't include me. The manila folder Sarah gave me sat unopened on the coffee table, its weight lingering, not just paper, but truth printed on receipts and timestamps. For the first time, I didn't look away.